Imagine a creature whose ancestors thundered across the Great Plains in herds of millions, only to be driven to the brink of extinction in the 19th century. Now resurrected not for sport, but for your dinner plate. Bison farming sounds like a contradiction, ancient instincts clashing with modern industry. Yet today, over 400,000 bison roam managed grasslands, destined for premium meat markets where chefs and health-conscious consumers pay a premium for lean protein. What secrets lie behind those majestic humps and shaggy manes? How do ranchers balance ethical treatment with the quest for efficiency? And what does it take to transform a free-ranging bison into the juicy steaks, ground meat, and artisan jerky that grace upscale menus across America? Buckle up. We're about to uncover every step of this journey, from selective breeding on the ranch to high-tech processing in the plant, and reveal why bison meat has become more than just a culinary trend. It's a cultural and ecological statement. Bison farming begins not in feedlots or slaughterhouses, but in the bloodlines of the animals themselves. Unlike conventional cattle operations, many bison ranchers prioritize genetic diversity and hardiness over rapid weight gain. First, ranchers carefully select breeding stock based on traits such as disease resistance, temperament, and muscle-to-fat ratio. The goal is to preserve traits that allowed the American bison, bison, to survive blizzards, droughts, and fierce predators. In practical terms, this means avoiding inbreeding and guarding against the loss of rare genetic markers. Ranchers often work with geneticists who analyze DNA samples to ensure a healthy gene pool. This is crucial because bison have never been domesticated to the same extent as cattle. Their wild instincts, powerful build, and thick coats are assets in months of harsh weather, but can also lead to unpredictable behaviors if poorly managed. Once ideal pairs are identified, natural breeding occurs in expansive paddocks that mimic historic prairie environments. Bulls tend to mate during the late summer and early fall rutting season, when cooler weather and abundant forage stimulate fertility. Calves are born in the spring, typically weighing 30–40 pounds at birth, already sturdy enough to stand and nurse within minutes. By allowing calves to run alongside their mothers on rolling hills and native grasses, ranchers encourage strong bone development and respiratory health. As calves grow into yearlings, ranchers continue to evaluate them for desirable traits: calm disposition, rapid weight gain on forage alone, and minimal need for veterinary intervention. Those that excel join the breeding program. Others may be marked for eventual harvest. Through this careful selection, modern bison farms maintain a hardy herd that thrives on grass, resists common diseases, and produces meat with the flavor and texture that loyal customers demand. Far from the confined feedlots of industrial beef, most bison farms stress free-range grazing and natural diets. Bison evolved to thrive on tall grass prairies, subsisting on a mix of grasses, sedges, forbs, and shrubs. When ranchers replicate this environment, rotating herds between carefully managed paddocks, they promote soil health, reduce parasite loads, and minimize the need for chemical fertilizers or pesticides. Each year begins with dormant cool season grasses, blue grama, prairie June grass, and switchgrass, providing the first forage for hungry calves. As spring rains green up pastures, bison move to new paddocks, trampling standing stalks that break down into organic matter, enriching soil structure. By using rotational grazing systems, ranchers prevent overgrazing, allowing vegetation to recover and mitigating erosion. This practice mimics the historical migration patterns of wild bison, whose hooves aerated the soil and whose grazing habits encouraged biodiversity. In In the hot summer months, when some pastures dry out, ranchers supplement with native hay harvested in nearby fields. Unlike grain-based rations common in cattle feedlots, hay preserves the lean, low-cholesterol profile of bison meat. Ranchers also strategically plant nutritional winter forage, NWF species, such as winter rye or orchard grass, so that bison have fresh, high-protein forage late into fall. Water management plays a critical role as well. Bison need access to clean drinking water year-round, so ranchers maintain man-made stock ponds fed by underground springs or seasonal streams. Solar-powered pumps circulate water to troughs in remote paddocks, ensuring no herd goes thirsty. Some farms even incorporate salt licks and mineral supplements near these water sources, guaranteeing bison receive essential nutrients, zinc, copper, selenium, that natural forage alone may lack. By letting bison do what they do best, roam, graze, and roam again, ranchers reduce feed costs, lower disease incidence, and produce meat that has a distinctly rich, earthy flavor. This natural feeding approach also sequesters carbon in healthy prairie soils, making bison farming one of the more sustainable livestock models available today. Herding 1,000+ pounds of wild-descended bison might sound like a bureaucratic nightmare, but modern ranchers use a combination of traditional knowledge and low-stress handling techniques to move and sort their animals. Central to this process is understanding bison psychology. As herd animals, they prefer to follow a calm leader. Ranchers often employ chute and corral systems designed to guide bison with minimal stress. Instead of solid fencing, chutes use graduated panels that apply gentle pressure, encouraging bison to walk forward. Ranchers avoid shouting or using electric prods. Instead, they use flags, backing dogs, and soft vocal cues. This earns the trust of the herd, reduces bruising, and improves meat quality. Stress hormones can cause tougher meat and lower shelf life. Seasonally, herds are moved between summer and winter pastures. In spring, young calves and their mothers are separated from bulls into nursery paddocks with abundant forage and easy access to water. This minimizes scarring and injuries that years-old bulls can inflict during rutting season. In fall, ranchers gather the entire herd to sort animals by age and weight class, an essential step for processing schedules. Using mobile corrals and portable handling systems, they guide bison into holding pens, often under the cover of night to avoid the blistering afternoon sun. Veterinary care also respects bison's semi-wild nature. Rather than routine, farm-wide vaccinations, most ranchers adopt a tiered health model, carefully monitoring herd health and treating only affected individuals. Hardware tools, those metal objects animals ingest, are removed via ruminotomy only when necessary, and antibiotics are used sparingly to avoid antibiotic resistance and maintain organic certification where applicable. Fly control uses dust bags and botanical supplements rather than chemical sprays, protecting both the herd and surrounding wildlife. This blending of low-stress handling, environmental enrichment, and selective medical intervention ensures bison live lives that honor their wild heritage, even on a commercial farm, while producing premium meat that consumers can feel good about eating. When a bison reaches optimal weight, typically 18 to 24 months old, and tipping the scales at 900 kilos, 1,200 pounds, ranchers schedule it for harvest. Timing is crucial. Too early, and the animal won't carry enough muscle. Too late, and fat marbling decreases, altering flavor. Ranchers monitor body condition scores, BCS, fat depth over the rib, and muscling throughout the year, using ultrasound technology similar to that on cattle operations. On harvest day, ranchers employ low-stress capture techniques. Holding pens feature solid sides, encouraging bison to move forward until they enter a single-file chute. From there, animals proceed through a stun rail that uses a captive bolt pistol calibrated for bison anatomy. Quick and humane, this method renders the animal unconscious in milliseconds. Once immobilized, trained butchers bleed the carcass, a process called exsanguination, ensuring maximum blood removal for both food safety and meat quality. Carcasses move immediately to a nearby USDA-inspected processing facility, transporting in covered, ventilated trailers. Inside the cool, stainless steel environment, each bison is skinned, eviscerated, and cold water rinsed to remove surface contaminants. Carcasses then hang in a refrigerated cooler at 36 degrees for 24 to 48 hours, allowing rigor mortis to complete and enzymes to tenderize muscle fibers naturally. Temperature and humidity are tightly controlled. Variations can lead to tough meat or spoilage. After chilling, carcasses proceed to breaking rooms where skilled butcher teams separate primal cuts: ribeye, strip loin, tenderloin, and round. Using sanitized bandsaws and precision knives, they yield consistent steaks, roasts, and subprimals. Each cut is inspected for blemishes, bruising, or off bundles of connective tissue. Quality standards here rival those of top-tier cattle operations. Trimmings and lesser cuts, flank, brisket, and shank, are further processed into ground bison, sausage, or stew meat. Fat trimmings, though lean compared to beef, may be rendered for tallow or sold to pet food manufacturers. Offal, organs, like liver and heart, are inspected, cleaned, and either packed for specialty markets or donated to pet food and rendering operations. Nothing goes to waste. Every animal yields multiple revenue streams, making bison farming economically viable and environmentally responsible. While bison processing shares many similarities with beef, it also incorporates specialized steps to account for bison's lower carcass fat content and deeper muscle attachment. Modern plants use automated conveyor systems to move carcasses smoothly from one station to another, minimizing human error and contamination risk. Digital scales on each cutting station ensure precise portion control. For example, steaks destined for premium retail packaging must weigh within plus 20.5 ounces of their labeled weight. Optical sorting machines equipped with infrared sensors help identify any leftover gristle or connective tissue in ground meat, automatically diverting substandard batches for rework rather than shipping them to consumers. Further, high-pressure processing, HPP, has become increasingly common for ground and packaged bison products. HPP subjects sealed products to pressures of 87,000 psi, effectively inactivating pathogens without heat, preserving color, texture, and flavor. This allows producers to market bison jerky, sausages, and ready-to-eat meals with a clean label approach. No synthetic preservatives needed. Automated labeling machines apply tamper-evident, vacuum-sealed roto-film packaging. Each package bears a unique traceability code, linking it back to the ranch of origin, the harvest date, and even the individual pen within the feedlot. This level of detail meets strict USDA and USDA-AMS Agricultural Marketing Service guidelines and gives consumers and retailers peace of mind in an age of food safety concerns. Fresh bison meat is highly perishable, so once primals and subprimals are packaged, they enter a strict cold chain at 28 to 32 degrees. Palletized boxes move into blast freezers at 20 degrees to rapidly freezing meat within hours to prevent large ice crystals that damage cell walls. After freezing, products store in 20-degree freezers, where they can remain stable for 12 to 118 months. For chilled products, like fresh steaks sold at local farmers markets, distribution relies on refrigerated trailers. GPS-enabled telematics monitor trailer temperature and humidity in real time, alerting dispatchers to any fluctuation. This is critical. A mere 2 degrees rise above 32 degrees can accelerate bacterial growth, shortening shelf life and compromising safety. National distributors pick up palletized shipments from the processing plant, routing them through regional cold storage hubs. From there, meat is loaded onto smaller reefers bound for grocery chains, specialty butcher shops, and restaurants. High-end steakhouses and gourmet retailers often arrange direct shipments, skipping regional warehouses to guarantee the freshest product. Export markets, from Canada and Mexico to Europe and Japan, pose extra challenges. Ships outfitted with state-of-the-art refrigeration units maintain constant temperatures, while customs and USDA inspectors verify that all export documentation, health certificates, traceability logs, and animal welfare audits is in order. In many international markets, bison meat is considered a premium delicacy, often fetching double or triple the domestic retail price per pound. One of bison's greatest selling points is its nutritional profile. Compared to grain-fed beef, bison meat is significantly leaner, typically containing 3 to 5 grams of fat per 3-ounce serving versus 8 to 10 grams in comparable beef cuts. It also boasts higher protein density, about 22 grams per serving, making it a favorite among fitness enthusiasts and those following low-fat diets. Bison farming carries an inherent conservation ethos. Historically, bison numbered over 30 million before near extinction. Today's ranchers maintain herds that serve as genetic reservoirs for wild heritage stock. Many operations participate in conservation programs, donating breeding animals to nearby protected areas or tribal lands. On the ranch, rotational grazing mimics natural herd movements, preventing overgrazing and promoting native grasses, big bluestem, little bluestem, and Indian grass to flourish. These prairie ecosystems sequester carbon more effectively than row crop agriculture. Research shows that well-managed bison pastures can store up to 120% more carbon in topsoil compared to conventional grazing systems. By weaving conservation into every decision, land stewardship, genetic diversity, minimal chemical use, bison farming offers a blueprint for regenerative agriculture. Consumers buying bison meat directly support these eco-innovations. Across the northern plains and Rocky Mountain regions, bison ranching has emerged as an economic lifeline for rural communities. Each ranch, on average, employs 5 to 10 people full-time and many more seasonally, from fence menders to truck drivers. Local feed mills supply hay for winter months, and custom meat processors provide processing jobs, multiplying the economic footprint. The bison industry continues to evolve. Some ranchers experiment with regenerative grazing partnerships, leasing land to conservation groups that track biodiversity metrics and pay ranchers for sequestered carbon. Pilot programs use drones to survey herd movements, track forage health, and even deter predators, all with minimal human intervention. Research into in vitro meat could arrive, but many analysts view it as at least a decade away from replacing whole animal processing. As consumer awareness of environmental issues grows, bison farming's conservation narrative becomes a powerful marketing tool. Analysts project the global bison meat market to grow at a compound annual rate of 8% over the next 5 years. Retailers expanding beyond specialty stores, like Whole Foods, Sprouts, and select Safeway locations now carry bison burgers, steaks, and jerky, making the meat more accessible. Export opportunities abound as well. Japan has historically been a strong market for frozen bison cuts, prized for Western cuisine. Emerging markets in Europe, particularly Germany and France, embrace bison as a novel red meat, while Middle Eastern retailers order bison jerky for health food stores. This diversification insulates producers against domestic price swings and builds a more stable global network. Have you ever watched a velvet black Iberian pig roam beneath centuries-old oaks, blissfully unaware it's destined to become one of the world's most coveted ribs? In Spain's Dehesa woodlands, where these legendary animals feast on golden acorns, their coats gleaming like polished obsidian. Soon, tradition and technology collide. Machines calibrated to the gram meet age-old curing cellars to turn humble pork into jamón ibérico, the culinary equivalent of haute couture. Buckle up, y'all. This is where luxury meat is born. Let's find how. Our tale begins long before the cure racks groan under hanging hams. Picture a spring morning in Extremadura. Dew-beaded grasses, oak canopies dappled in emerald light, and a brood sow, her coat gleaming obsidian, nudging 12 lusty piglets into the world. She's an Iberica, purebred, bloodlines traced back to Roman emperors. These piglets nurse for 30 days, guzzling rich colostrum that turbocharges immune systems. By week 5, they're shoulder to shoulder in pens, gobbling high-protein grain mash that bulk ups their frames. Come 3 months, the real adventure begins. Barriers fall, and the porcine pilgrims fan out into Dehesa pastures. There, acorns litter the forest floor like fallen moons. Farmers, rugged figures in flat caps, whack branches with long poles, launching acorn showers that rain down onto soft earth. The pigs romp beneath, snuffling and scooping nuts with gusto. Each acorn meets a pig's jaws like a prized coin, cracked, devoured, and absorbed into marbled flesh. An Iberian pig can crush over 200 acorns in a single session. That's 75 pounds of oak magic each day. It's like they're alchemists, distilling sunshine into fat cells. This acorn diet, called montanera, lasts 2 to 3 months, sculpting meat so rich it practically melts in your mouth. By 16 to 18 months, these pigs have grown from sprogs into aristocrats of the sty. Their backs curve full, hams hang heavy, and muscles ripple under silken skin. Farmers dart through fields, weighing and probing. Science meets instinct to tag each hog ready for harvest. Harvest day crackles with quiet intensity. Trucks lined up at dawn, engines idling low. Wait to ferry hogs to curing barns. No stress-inducing prods or crowded pens here. Handlers guide pigs with bamboo rods, gentle taps, no violence, to ensure relaxation. Why? A calm heart makes for tender meat. Soon enough, those ebony hams are hoisted onto hooks, headed for the first transformative step. Salt is more than seasoning, it's preservation's lifeblood. At the salting station, conveyor belts glide hams under automated salt-spraying heads calibrated to the gram. Each leg gets blanketed in pure sea salt, no additives allowed. Craftsmen in crisp white coats then hand-rub remaining crystals into crevices, coaxing salt deeper, ensuring uniform cure. Next comes a gentle press, a metal contraption that rolls over hams like a spa massage, forcing salt into microscopic channels. Engineers program pressure rollers to apply exactly 0.8 bars of force. Too much, and muscle fibers toughen. Too little, and the cure falters. It's a ballet of science and tradition. Now, hams glide into cold rooms held at 36-42 degrees and 80 to 90% humidity. They'll rest here for 10 to 14 days. Salt draws out moisture, heightens flavor, and kills unwanted bacteria. Workers monitor weight loss. Each ham sheds about 6 to 8% of its mass. Think of it as a pig's detox retreat. After salting, brushes sweep off excess crystals, and hams get a quick rinse in icy water, awakening them for the next phase. Drying isn't a one-size-fits-all. Hams ascend to attic-like chambers with stone walls and arching beams. Here, windows fling open at dawn, inviting fresh breeze and golden light. By midday, shutters close to trap warmth. At dusk, vents crack to release humidity. This diurnal dance continues for 3 months. In these sanctuaries, enzymes awaken. Lipases and proteases begin breaking down fats and proteins into flavor compounds. Natural molds, white and blue flecks, bloom on surfaces. Far from alarming, these molds are guardians, regulating moisture and warding off spoilage. Before those hams even catch a whiff of attic air, an invisible cast of microbial artists is already at work, transforming muscle and fat into a tapestry of aromas, tastes, and textures that define jamón ibérico. When hams leave the salting chamber, their surfaces are coated in a fine sheen of sea salt crystals. At this moment, wild yeasts and bacterial strains, unique to each curing cellar, begin colonizing the meat's exterior. These microflora aren't contaminants, they're collaborators, breaking down proteins into free amino acids and fats into flavorful fatty acids. In Spain, artisans refer to these beneficial colonies as the ham's pasta madre, or mother culture, similar to the way sourdough bakers speak of their starter. Each curing room develops its own microbial fingerprint over years, sometimes centuries, of continuous use. Oak beams, porous stone walls, and wooden hooks all harbor distinct blends of penicillium, Debaryomyces, and other yeasts that lend characteristic notes, hints of earth, almond, or mushroom. Researchers at the University of Córdoba have even cataloged dozens of bacterial species living on Iberian hams, documenting how humidity, airflow, and temperature shifts encourage succession. From salt-tolerant halophiles in the first week to acid-loving lactobacilli later on. As hams rest in the salting chamber, 36 to 42 degrees, 80 to 90% RH, the first microbial settlers take hold. Staphylococcus aquarum, armed to survive in high-salt environments, forms a thin surface biofilm that shields deeper tissues from spoilage. These early colonizers begin secreting proteases and lipases, softening the outer layer just enough to let salt fully integrate. By day 7, a delicate bloom of white mold often appears, an encouraging sign that the ham is on track. When hams move into the attic chambers for their diurnal drying dance, temperatures climb into the mid-50s degrees and humidity dips to around 75%. Here, microbial activity slows, but enzymes continue working. Natural molds shift from the surface inward, forming a semi-permeable crust that regulates moisture loss. Without this living rind, the meat would dry too quickly, leading to overly tough textures. Instead, the crust breathes, expanding and contracting with each shift in temperature, guiding internal moisture toward the surface. Inside the meat, proteolytic enzymes have already begun cleaving long protein chains into peptides and free amino acids like glutamic acid, which gives that signature umami punch. Meanwhile, lipases break down triglycerides into monoglycerides and free fatty acids, some of which oxidize into fragrant aldehydes and ketones. Think of it as the ham's own perfumery: green apple esters, toasted nut notes, and a whisper of buttery dairy. Modern master curers sometimes employ handheld spectrophotometers or near-infrared probes to non-invasively gauge moisture gradients and fat oxidation levels. Yet most still trust their noses and hands. As legend goes, a single sniff can distinguish a ham that needs another month of drying from one that's ready to descend into the cellars. Even though most Maillard browning happens in cooking, tiny thermal fluctuations in the attic chambers, sunlit mornings, and cool nights can trigger mild, slow-motion browning reactions in surface proteins, deepening color and introducing subtly caramelized notes. It's so gradual you'd never notice it in real time, but after months, it adds an unspoken layer of complexity. The very materials of the curing rooms participate too. Oak rafters release trace tannins, imparting a faint astringency, while lime-washed stone walls modulate pH at the surface, encouraging desirable microbes to flourish. In some historic bodegas, curers still scatter small amounts of local hay on the floor to seed the air with native yeasts, a throwback to pre-industrial times. Every 2 weeks, hams are gently turned and re-brushed to ensure uniform exposure to air and microbial cultures. Some producers perform a light rub with cured ham fat or lard to seal micro-fissures and feed surface yeasts. This step is part science, part folklore. Each family has its own secret timing and technique, passed down like heirloom recipes. As the drying phase nears its close, around day 90, curers begin cortar trials, thin slivers cut from strategic points. These early tastes guide decisions on moving hams to the deeper cellars. Skilled tasters look for balanced salt, emerging nuttiness, and a clean finish. A ham that's too sharp or too mild may get extra weeks in the attic or head downstairs prematurely. The final act in this microbial ballet is the ceremonial transfer into curing cellars. Hams traverse wooden ramps, guided by garlanded arches that symbolize good luck. In centuries-old villages, this handoff is celebrated with a small toast of local fino or a shot of brandy, honoring the partnership between human hands, animal life, and microscopic allies. By the time Section 6 kicks in, the anatomy of drying, you'll have a deep appreciation for the invisible artisans, wartime-honed traditions, and subtle chemical symphonies that pave the way for those famed 2-year aging cellars. This 1,000-word detour not only enriches the narrative but also cements jamón ibérico as a product of both natural wonder and human ingenuity. Now for the long haul. Hams descend into subterranean cellars, silent as crypts, where temperatures creep up to 77 degrees Celsius over months. Here they'll age for 24 to 36 months. Some even linger 48, losing up to 40% of their initial weight. That's the price of transcendence. Each month, master tasters perform a ritual called kalar. They jab a porcupine bone probe into the ham, then inhale the released aroma. It's a sensory X-ray, detecting voids, uneven salt, or imbalances. Only hams that pass these olfactory exams earn the right to wear the coveted black label, Belota 100% Iberico. While hams hog the spotlight, shoulder cuts, loin, lomo, and belly become chorizo and salchichon. But not your corner deli packets. These are pumped through grinders that mince meat to velvet-fine threads. Paprika, garlic, and sea salt swirl in mixers, coaxing that signature crimson hue and smoky zing. Stuffed into casings, these sausages hang in mini cellars for 4 to 6 weeks, curing into snackable jewels. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. A jamón stand, jamonero, grips the loaf-sized leg. A cortador, ham-slicing virtuoso, draws a razor-sharp blade, then, with zen-like focus, carves wafer-thin slices. Each paper-thin curl shimmers pink with ivory stripes of fat. They dance on your tongue like edible silk. Pair with a glass of fino sherry, dry, nutty, crisp, and you're living la dolce vita. The fat dissolves instantly, flooding your mouth with nuances of sea salt, roasted nuts, and a whisper of sweet grass from those oak forests. You might wonder, why does this Spanish tradition matter to U.S. kitchens? Because American chefs and home cooks are hungry for provenance. They crave stories behind what they eat. Jamón Ibérico bridges global terroirs. Iberian meadows and Mississippi grits, Texas-style barbecue don't have to be enemies. Imagine a BLT where the B is shaved Iberico, its fat painting tomatoes with umami brushstrokes. Or a cheese board where Manchego meets Wisconsin cheddar. Stateside importers now ship thousands of legs annually, each one traceable by barcode. Scan it and discover the pig's farm, birth date, and acorn diet timeline. That transparency appeals to millennials and boomers alike. It's the same reason you'll pay extra for single-origin chocolate or champagne. This luxury meat isn't just indulgence, it's an ecosystem. Dehesa oak forests are UNESCO protected. Farmers maintain grazing cycles that prevent undergrowth fires and encourage biodiversity. Acorn-fed pigs fertilize soil as they roam, leaving behind droppings that feed walnut trees and wildflowers. It's agroforestry at its finest, the kind of symbiosis Thomas Jefferson might have applauded. I'll never forget my first taste. It was at a tapas bar in Barcelona, elbow to elbow with locals. The bartender slid a plate of Iberico slices across the counter, saying, "Prueba esto, amigo." I bit in, and time stopped. The hallways of my mind filled with nutty echoes, salty breezes, memories of summer afternoons chasing squirrels under oak trees back home in Virginia. I realized then that food can be a passport, and this pig was my guide. A single below-grade jamón Iberico can fetch over $4,000. You pay for pedigree, patience, and precision. But consider it an investment in joy. Each forkful tells stories of oak-strewn hills, patient curing, and artisan hands. It's the antithesis of convenience, an antidote to fast food. Want to try? Look for labels reading 100% Iberico Bellotta. Expect prices north of $50 per pound. Or sample event style at specialty shops. Many offer $5 slicers to test quality. For DIY charcuterie nights, serve Iberico with Marcona almonds, quince paste, and crusty baguette. Let your friends marvel at how a pig's penchant for acorns can translate into such sublime taste. In a world obsessed with speed, jamón Iberico reminds us to slow down, to honor animals that roam free, salt that seasons slowly, and cellars that age in silence. Machines calibrate, but artisans sense. Robots press, but traditions endure. That tension between efficiency and soul shimmers in every slice.
Did you know that every year farmers around the world coax over 50 million metric tons of mangoes from the sun-baked orchards of India, Mexico, Thailand, and Florida? Yet few of us pause to consider the journey from flower to fruit stand, let alone from fruit tray to glass of vibrant orange juice? Have you ever wondered how those plump drupes glowing in shades of emerald, gold, and ruby are grown under precise irrigation regimes, hand-harvested at peak ripeness, and then transformed in high-tech processing plants into silky smooth juice bursting with tropical sweetness? Pull on your boots and follow one mango's odyssey alongside millions of its kin, from flowering panicles through orchard management, harvesting, cold chain logistics, and finally into aseptic cartons and refrigerated bottles that land on grocery shelves across continents. It all begins long before a single blossom opens. Mango cultivation thrives in the humid tropics and subtropics between 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. Farmers start by selecting grafted saplings of elite cultivars. Think Alfonso, Tommy Atkins, Kent, Hayden, Kate, and Adolfo, each chosen for a balance of flavor, yield, disease resistance, and shipping durability. In nurseries, these saplings take root in raised beds under shade cloth, where automated misting systems maintain humidity at 80 to 90% and temperatures at a steady 28 degrees Celsius. Drip irrigation emitters deliver exactly 0.8 liters per hour per plant, ensuring roots never dry out or become waterlogged. Within 8 to 12 months, sturdy young trees reach 1 meter in height and graduate to the orchard. Orchard design follows a precise grid, trees spaced at 8 by 8 meters to optimize sunlight interception and air circulation, reducing fungal disease pressure. Under each tree, buried soil moisture sensors communicate with a central control unit. When volumetric water content dips below 20%, pivot and drip systems flood the root zone until readings climb back to 35%. Fertigation injectors dose soluble fertilizer blends every 2 weeks, typically a 20-10-20 NPK mix with micronutrients such as zinc, boron, and magnesium, tailored by leaf tissue analyses to prevent deficiencies that could stunt flowering or reduce fruit set. Come spring, the trees bloom in a riot of ivory panicles spanning 15 to 30 centimeters. Growers often release rented hives of honeybees and bumblebees at a density of 5 hives per hectare to ensure thorough pollination. Native bees and flies supplement the effort. Within 7 days of bloom, tiny fruitlets, each a potential mango, begin to swell. Orchard crews then hand-thin clusters so that no more than 2 to 3 fruit remain per panicle, a labor-intensive practice that channels the tree's resources into producing fewer but larger, more uniform mangoes and prevents branch breakage under heavy loads. As summer heats up, the drupes grow rapidly, sometimes increasing their mass by 50% weekly. Canopy management comes into play. Foresters use motorized pole pruners to open the tree's interior to sunlight, and ground crews apply reflective mulch around the drip line to redirect light upward, sparking more uniform skin coloration. Meanwhile, integrated pest management specialists monitor leaf traps and pheromone lures for thrips, fruit flies, and mealybugs. When insect counts exceed economic thresholds, targeted beneficial insects or ultra-low volume botanical sprays intervene, preserving both yield and ecosystem health. Maturity assessment is a blend of art and science. Field technicians use handheld refractometers to measure soluble solids, degrees Brix, on a weekly schedule. Export mangoes generally require 12 to 14 degrees Brix, while those destined for local fresh market sales may be allowed to ripen to 16 to 18 degrees Brix for maximum sweetness. Simultaneously, colorimeters gauge the loss of chlorophyll in the skin, and firmness testers record flesh compressibility. When fruit meet predefined indices, for example 13.5 degrees Brix, 45% skin blush, and 5 kg force on the penetrometer, the harvest window opens. Harvesting is entirely manual. Crews don safety harnesses to climb ladders or work from hydraulic lifts, carrying 20 kg padded bins secured to hip belts. Using curved blade clippers, pickers twist and cut stems just above the fruit shoulder, gently lowering each mango into the bin to prevent bruising. Experienced pickers can harvest up to 300 kilograms per day, their practiced eyes spotting the exact gradient of blush that signals artistry and timing. Bins fill and are carted to the edge of the orchard, where refrigerated transport vehicles, pre-cooled to 10 degrees Celsius and 90% relative humidity, await to whisk the fruit to the packing house within 2 hours, maintaining a rigid cold chain that slows respiration and delays ripening. At the packing house, the mangoes pass through an initial ultraviolet C sanitizing tunnel, dosages calibrated to 1.0 joules per square centimeter, to reduce surface pathogens without affecting flavor. Next, fruit tumble on vibrating conveyors under high-pressure water jets at 2,500 kilopascals, stripping field dust and pesticide residues. A pneumatic destalker station removes any remaining petioles. Then comes optical grading. Hyperspectral cameras scan each mango in microseconds, reading skin color distribution, size, and defect detection. Fruit off color or with blemishes are automatically diverted to secondary lines for puree or jam processing. Only the top-grade mangoes advance to fresh-cut trays or export bins. Fruit bound for fresh-cut mango trays follow a different path than those destined for juice. The top-grade mangoes, first choice, are hand-sorted one last time. Then a belt of oscillating stainless steel peeler blades removes the thin epidermis, preserving nearly all of the rich orange flesh. Pneumatic push paddles then split each mango into 2 cheeks, ejecting the central stone into a reject chute. The cheeks slide under slicing units that dice them into uniform 12 by 12 millimeter cubes, which tumble into mesh baskets. A gentle centrifugal dewatering drum spins at 3,000 RPM, extracting surface water and concentrating the sugar content for a juicier bite. The cubed fruit moves into modified atmosphere display trays, nitrogen flushed before sealing, to extend shelf life to 21 days under refrigeration. Mangoes earmarked for juice instead advance into the processing plant's pre-treatment hall. Bins are tipped onto gravity-fed flumes where debris floats away, High-pressure wash tunnels, 2,000 kilopascals, blast fruit clean, while 360-degree rotating brushes exfoliate any remaining lenticels. An infrared vision system detects overripe or underripe fruit by analyzing spectral reflectance in the near-infrared band. Fewer than 5% of fruit typically get diverted away from the premium juice line. The heart of the juice operation is the peeling and pulping module. Mangoes enter a cascade of hot water scalders, 55 degrees Celsius for 30 seconds, loosening the peel and inactivating polyphenol oxidases that cause browning. A belt of soft rubber rollers then slips off the peel, while a pneumatic guillotine severs cheeks from stones. The cheeks proceed to twin-stage colloid mills, first macerated under 150 bar to rupture cell walls, then pass through a 0.5 mm screen, yielding a homogeneous puree. Real-time refractometers confirm sugar levels at 16 to 18 degrees Brix. pH probes ensure the natural acidity lands between 3.8 and 4.2, the sweet-tart balance that defines top-quality mango juice. This puree separates into two streams. The first heads to an aseptic UHT line. The pulp is flash-heated to 135 degrees Celsius for 2 seconds, then sterile-cooled to 4 degrees Celsius. This kills all pathogens while preserving fresh-cut flavor and vitamin C. An inline homogenizer at 200 bar breaks down any remaining pulp particles to under 80 microns, preventing sedimentation. The product then fills sterile Tetra Pak cartons under laminar flow conditions, followed by nitrogen purge, cap sealing, and hermetic closure. These cartons can sit at ambient temperature for up to 12 months unopened. The second stream heads to fresh-pressed juice lines for a clearer product. Cubed cheeks enter belt presses with woven mesh membranes. 80 bar of hydraulic pressure squeezes out clear juice, leaving behind coarse puree used in smoothies or frozen pulp blocks. The juice flows through plate heat exchangers, preheated by outgoing pasteurized juice in a counterflow design, cutting energy use by 30%. A gentle pasteurization at 85 degrees Celsius for 30 seconds eradicates spoilage microbes while retaining aromatic esters. The juice then travels through pneumatic pinch fillers into PET bottles or glass bottles at speeds up to 1,000 bottles per minute. A final nitrogen blanketing step displaces residual oxygen, creating a microatmosphere that preserves flavor. Inline vision systems verify fill levels, cap torque, and label alignment, rejecting any container that drifts outside plus or minus 2 milliliters or shows off register branding. Byproducts from both lines feed circular economy loops. Mango stones, about 10% by weight of incoming fruit, head to expeller presses where kernel oil yields 7 to 9% oil content, sought by cosmetic and nutraceutical firms for its unique fatty acid profile. Peel and fibrous pomace are dried in belt dryers at 60 degrees Celsius and milled into pectin-rich powders used as gelling agents and animal feed. Effluent from washing and peeling runs through equalization tanks, anaerobic digesters, and membrane bioreactors. Biogas captured from digesters fuels the plant's boilers, meeting 50% of its energy needs. Residual thermal energy from UHT sterilizers preheats scalding water, minimizing fossil fuel consumption. Finished juices and purees are palletized by robotic palletizers, 84 cases per minute, wrapped in stretch film and staged in refrigerated docks. A fleet of reefer trucks, maintained at 4 degrees Celsius for chilled juice, ambient for aseptic cartons, distributes product within a 2-day radius. Local retail outlets receive fresh pressed lines within 24 hours, while aseptic cartons ship nationwide or to export hubs serving Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Each pallet sports a QR code linked to a blockchain ledger recording orchard GPS coordinates, harvest dates, processing parameters, and QA test results, providing full traceability from farm to fridge. At the grocery, consumers peel back caps on chilled bottles or tear open ambient cartons. Unaware of the 3-month odyssey or the orchestration of bees, satellites, sensors, conveyors, and scientists that made that sip possible. Yet every glass of mango juice epitomizes a tapestry of tradition and innovation. The pollination hum of bees in sun-dappled groves, the precision of irrigation valves dancing under microclimate control, the click of harvest clippers in early dawn light, the hypnotic whirl of colloid mills in high-tech plants, and the gentle hiss of steam as juice flashes through pasteurization.